we look at our production process, what we do to produce our minerals that we sell. Then part of the legal framework and international treaties. I'll also look at our environmental management structure, vegetarian conservation and biodiversity programs, rehabilitation process and monitoring. I'll also look at some of the trials that we have, which includes agricultural trials. Then look at post-mining land use vision, and later on I'll just look at some of the stakeholders that we work with at our mine. So I'll let you watch this video, which runs for about 4 minutes, to just give you an overview of what we do at Vegetarian. When we began, we used a DMU, which is a dozer mining unit. Then we went to hydro mining units, which essentially is more efficient and slightly cheaper than the dozer mining units that we saw earlier. Sorry. So in the video, this is the dozer that we used to use. Then currently, these are the HMU guns that we are currently using for mining. Then after using the HMUs, the guns, what happens is we break down the walls, which are seed-fall sands, form slurry, which is just a mixture of the sand and water. Then we pump them to the plant and transport them into pipes. Since some of the areas that we mine are slightly far from the plant, what we do is we have booster pumps that help pump the slurry into the plant. I've paused here to just show what we do first is we remove all the vegetation from the surface of the earth. After that, we remove topsoil and pile it. After piling, this topsoil is later on used for rehabilitation, which it will be part of my presentation. Then, as I said, we use the hydro mining units, which are just guns which spray water onto the walls that contains the ore to form our slurry. After the slurry reaches the plant, we mainly get two products, which are the tailings that are currently the image that you are seeing on your screen. So the mineral concentrate in our ores are about between 3 to 5%. What that means is for every 100 kilogram, if I were to put that into perception, is for every 100 kilogram of the sand that we harvest, between 3 and 5% are the heavy mineral concentrate that we get our minerals from. The remaining between 97 and 95% form part of the tailings, which we stack them or use to backfill the areas which have already been mined. But I'll also touch on them later in depth. This is currently a machine that we use for stacking the tailings at our plant. which includes partly the tailings, include the slimes. For those who have been to Base Stadium before, we have what we call a tailings storage facility that we use to, that were stacked before using the tailings, and what we store inside are the slimes, which is part of the buying, I would say, buying products that comes from the ore. It's not connecting. The video is running. It's not on the screen.
It's not on the screen?
And the video is running, but I can't see it on the screen.
Oh, okay. Madam, do you hear that?
I'm having a connection error.
Wi-Fi or what?
Yeah. Can I continue? So maybe I'll just leave. The video is around, it's almost 2 minutes to the end of the video. Maybe I can just let it run, and then I can explain part of this later on. Is summarized here, where we talked about using HMUs for mining, and then the ore is transported to the plant, and the plant is separated to give two products, which are the tailings and the heavy mineral concentrate, which we said in 100 kilogram, almost 3% forms, 3 kilograms forms part of the heavy mineral concentrate, the 97. The tailings, which is partly sand and slimes. The heavy mineral concentrate are separated using physical means, which is electrical conductance. Then we have gravity separation and magnetic. Reason we use these three methods are each one of the products, which is rutile, ilmenite, and zircon, have different physical properties. So enabling us to be able to separate these minerals without using any chemical means. After the minerals have been separated, for most of you, you have seen that we load them into our trucks, then transport them to the import facility, where we ship them to different customers abroad. Currently, we still don't have any customer from within the country. As base titanium, which is a mining industry, we would like to conserve nature through some of these legal requirements and have good relations with specific government institutions that we have worked with over time to help us achieve this and cement part of our post-mining land use. We are currently looking at an extension of the South Bill. For those who know slightly the story around the mine life of base titanium, to extend part of our mine life. But at the moment, we are trying to look at some of the post-mining land use options that we might have, and which, through this legal framework and some of the treaties, it has formed part of our post-mining land use vision, which I will slightly share later on. So some of the institutions that we work with in closely are like the Forest Conservation, KFS, the Wildlife, WRA, we have the Department of Mining and Petroleum. Also, apart from those, we have some of the legal treaties that we adhere to, which includes partly like the Kyoto Protocol, which our national SDG of achieving the 10% forest cover is part of what we are looking for after we close up our mines. Our environmental management structure, what we have is we have two sections of environment which falls under different departments. We have the environmental operations, which is charged with ecological monitoring, physical monitoring, and environmental systems. Then from community affairs department, we have environmental programs, which each of these sections is charged with making sure that the environment is taken good care of. Part of the base titanium conservation and biodiversity programs, which adds value to the land that we have. For those who have been lucky to come to base titanium, you'll find that we have one of the largest indigenous tree nursery and arboretum, which boasts to have over 283 indigenous tree species, with over 2,500 critically endangered trees being propagated in it. Currently, close to around 85,000 trees have been planted out. And after mining, what we try as much as possible to do is restore our areas which were initially wetlands. This one is by construction of siltation ponds that help in sedimentation of any surface runoffs that comes from our mine. We have some projects that we run in the company which support community. Some of these projects include butterfly projects. We have projects like beekeeping. We also have projects such as brick making, which I also mentioned briefly at the end of the presentation. As I said earlier, part of the tailings, which forms 97% of our ore, we use it to stockpile the tailings, which helps to store part of the slimes, which would rather run off if it wasn't to be there. What we have done with our tailings storage facility is rehabilitate it through planting of grass, shrubs, and trees that we get from our nursery. Part of our special mining lease, the land, is between Gongoni Forest and Buda Forest. So what we have tried to do is, since we are not mining the whole SML area, there is part of the land we acquired we call the biodiversity corridor. We are trying as much as possible to be able to connect the two forests, which is partly our contribution to the 10% forest cover. Most of the questions that we have ever faced were, how do you do your rehabilitation now that what you do is you remove the topsoil and the minerals that you mine are in the subsoil. What we normally do is, after mining has taken place, we use the equipment that we have, the heavy equipment, to help us in shaping of the land. And then after that, what we do is we apply topsoil to around 300 millimeters. Then after that, we start by planting grass to help us stabilize the soils. Because if we didn't do that first, we always encounter problems such as runoffs, which easily erode the surface of the land. After that, what we do is we either plant trees or plant shrubs to also help to stabilize the soils as we wait to, at the end of the mine, hand it over to the government. So apart from just rehabilitation, we also monitor the rehabilitated land to make sure that it meets specific requirements that for it to be signed off and be declared rehabilitated. Some of the monitoring that we do on this include avifauna, which is monitoring of the birds that have been existing in the area. We also do hepatofauna, which is monitoring of the reptiles and amphibians around. We also do macroinvertebrates, which is monitoring of the small insects that are also found there. Apart from that, we also do water quality analysis for both surface and underground water, which, like we know, we share some of these water sources with communities around. And we always want to make sure that the water that comes from our end, because we have built a dam across the River Nkurumudzi, is fit for use by the communities downstream of us. Apart from the quantity, of course, of the water that we share, we also look at the quantities of water in the aquifer. What we do with this is we also make sure that there is no possibility of salt intrusion that might be caused by either of obstruction from our end and other people that use the deep aquifer. Partly our intention after we finish mining is to make sure that the land that we have mined on returns to close or even better than it were before. For those who have been through our special mining lease, you'll find that around 1 year ago, the images that you saw will be the one on your left on the screen. Currently, what we are doing is rehabilitating it. This was by early January when we had the rains. The picture on the right. Also, just to make sure that the land that we are going to hand over is good, what we are doing currently is running some trials, which include agricultural trials for the food crops that are found within the county. And this we are partnering with One University to make sure that the results that we get are scientific and can be proven. In this, we engage communities who help us to provide labor and some of the grass seeds that we use for rehabilitation, and partly for providing assistance in the work that goes on both in the trials and in the rehabilitation work. Like I have said before, one time or the other the mine will have to come to a close. So currently BES is looking at, which is still an internal discussion on some of the consideration the land can be used for, which ranges from agriculture, sustainable conservation, and if the land later on can also be used for trade. But these are still ongoing discussions within the company. And in these discussions, we have several stakeholders that we are currently engaging. I might not be able to mention all of them. And currently, the ones in green are the ones we are working so closely with. I would say directly, and the ones in yellow are the ones where we still get support from them. Thank you so much for the presentation, and maybe we will have sessions for questions.
Thank you very much. Maybe anyone who has a question, but we will have another presentation, and then you will be part of the panel that you will be participating, so we can cover both. So, is there a burning question that you need to handle now, or we will wait until when he has a chance to join the panel? Let's give him a clap, so then we'll be able to join us.